welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about my wrap up for 2025 and the final month of 2025. And unfortunately, I'm just going to tell you right off the bat, I did not have a good reading month. Quality wise, I had a lot quantity, but quality wasn't that great for me, unfortunately. And I definitely had significantly more worse books than I did really good books, and I also did not have a single 5-star this month. Unfortunately, I barely even had that many 4 stars. We're pretty much primarily looking into the lower register here. We're looking 3s and under primarily, including some multiple 1 stars, which really sucks. I really hate that. And as usual, we are going to go in star rating. So we're going to start with our DNFs. And the first thing I DNF'd was A Game in Yellow. This one, I should have known better. This is going to be for a very specific group of people. This is erotic horror, and I did not realize that. I should have known, but I had heard the hyping up. I love the cover, everything like that, and I made the mistake of misreading the synopsis. So this one is on me. I do not read erotic horror. That is not what I like. It also was, I made it like 60% through this book because I really tried pushing through, and it just got way too trippy as well. Like, it was weird horror. So anyone who loves weird horror and doesn't mind like a more sexual theme, I would say actually try this. I don't think it was bad. I had a really hard time following along with this one. So this is going to be for a very specific group of people. And then the only other DNF that I had that I got past 50 pages, because we've kind of talked about it. If I don't get past 50 pages, I don't talk about it in my wrap up. But the only other one, I actually DNF'd a series, and that is All In, which is part of the Natural series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. To be honest, I think the biggest downfall is I read the first 2 books a really long time ago and I liked them. However, they didn't hold up. They didn't hold up for me. And I also made the mistake of reading Some Shall Break, which is a significantly better version of what this is. So I would say if you're interested in this, still try it. I don't think it's bad necessarily. I just think that I've gotten past this. I think if I had started the series now, I probably would have enjoyed it. But because I read 2 of the books like 3 years ago, and now I'm trying to pick the series back up, I'm past it. And I also had 1 reread this month, which is crazy. I'm trying to make 2026 the year of rereading some books to get through series. But I ended up rereading Aurora Rising. And to be honest, it did not hold up as well as I was hoping, but I generally don't like rereading books. So there's very few books that I reread and I end up enjoying. I tend to get bored and just kind of start skimming, and obviously that is not the way to read these books. I think the ending still held up incredibly well, and that is the only reason I'm going to continue reading these books. I just think it was a situation of I was not in the right mood for this. I didn't want to really reread it. I started listening to an audio, and the audio, in my opinion, is not very good. Moving forward, I will be trying to read the other 2 books in the series and specifically physically read them and use my eyeballs instead of trying to listen to them. And I think it'll go a lot better that way. Moving into the books that I fully read this month and that were not rereads. And up first, we have our 1 stars, and the very first one is Haunting of Payne's Hollow. Unfortunately, I don't remember a ton about this book at this point. I just did not like the vibes. This is following our main character who, it's very inheritance games. I kind of already talked about it in my worst books of the year if you've watched that. So I'm not going to go over it too much, but it's following our main character who is given this inheritance, like I said, very inheritance game, where she has to stay in this house if she wants to receive the property and the money and stuff like that. And there's a whole mystery with, I think it's her dad, like, going on in the background as well, and that's kind of the focus of the story. But this is one of those horror books that has a capacity to be incredibly terrifying, and then it just takes a left turn into Goofy Town, and that is what this was. It just got really strange, unfortunately, and I don't do strange horror. I also really didn't like the ending. I didn't like any of the twists. I just thought it was really weird. And if you like weird horror, this is one that I would try. Next up, unfortunately, we have Alchemy of Secrets. This is a 1 star. I might continue in this series, but I'm already starting to like forget the actual plot of this in my head, my brain, placing the plot in this with what I want the plot to be. So in this book, we're following our main character who is very much into folklore and stuff. She gets wrapped up in this weird mystery thing that's happening, like her parents were involved, and there's like this whole underground world of mercenaries and treasure hunters and people trying to find this like lost artifact. And unfortunately, that is not what I wanted to read about. I wanted to read about what the opening of the book talked about. Again, I talked about this in my worst book, so I'm not going to talk about this too much. But I wanted to read a book where she meets the devil and buys a drink for him, and the ramifications of that, because that was so cool to have that as like an opening thing. so cool. Instead, it was just like this tiny side thing that was happening, and you're like, oh, this seems like the setup of an entire book. And then you didn't even use it, unfortunately. So that's, yeah, no. This book, again, this one was just a weird book. I actually wouldn't recommend this one to anybody. There are a few books that I would be like, oh, like, I don't think anyone would actually like this. And I do know people like this. I know people like this. We had this for a book club. Some people did enjoy this book. I have no clue who I would recommend this book to. So if you enjoyed the book, definitely let me know who you would recommend it to, what type of reader, because I can't think of anyone who'd actually enjoy this book, even though I know they're out there. But I really hated this. I really did. It is definitely, it has earned its spot in the worst books of the year. Next up, we have our 2-star books, and we only have one for that, and Smile for the Cameras. I think I originally gave it like a 3-star on Goodreads. I think I'm gonna knock it down though. Smile for the Cameras, it should be everything that I like in a thriller book, but this is following our main character, who is a defunct, or she's not defunct, but she basically was like an actress in this cult classic movie, horror movie, scream queen kind of thing, and she gets asked to come back to do this reunion, and she only agrees because she's trying to revitalize her career. And this is like the only way to do it, because she didn't star in anything after this movie because something traumatic happened on set. And when she gets on set, she recognizes everybody from the original cast, and they all have kind of like trauma bonded over these things. And they have varying degrees of success since it's like 10, 15 years ago or something that this like tragic thing happened. And you have to basically try and figure out during the whole book while they're on set for this reunion what actually happened in the past and what's going on now, because obviously there's some sketchy things that are now happening on set, probably connected to what happened in the past. It was just kind of boring. This one, unfortunately, had a really good setup, and then the most of the book wasn't even taking place really on the movie set. It was like, most of it was taking place in the past, and arguably it wasn't even that interesting in the past. Like, I was kind of expecting like a lot of drama in the past, but the drama was like I was gonna say reality TV drama, which I would like, but it really isn't. It's a lot of like whining over romances that are kind of pointless, and a lot of just pining, and a lot of like being upset with how the movie's going. And it's just nothing really that interesting that happened in the past to set anything up for the current day, because going on in the current day, it's even more boring with them literally just re-talking and rehashing out everything that happened in the past of the drama and the romance. And again, it's brought up over and over and over again. You only have like 20 pages actually on set doing a reunion type of show, which I was really disappointed in. And then the ending was stupid. The ending was really dumb. I think I told like 3 different people the ending of this book so they didn't have to read it because they were bored while reading the book. And so I wouldn't recommend this one either. There's so many other books out there that do the movie set kind of book way better. I just don't think this one does it very well. Then we had one 2.5 star, and I wasn't gonna talk about this book in this video because it is coming out in a vlog, so I'm just gonna tell you my rating is, because there's no way I can talk about this book without making this video 1,000 hours long. So you're gonna have to go check out it's Reading My September and October book books that should come out towards the end of this month, because I go in length in detail talking about this book. I don't think any spoilers. I might have talked a little bit, but I have like a spoiler thing. So I gave Alchemized, I did read Alchemized in December. I give it a 2.5. There's too much to talk about to explain why, but there's a lot of reasons. And yeah, I would just check that out to know my full thoughts on that, because I think like half an hour to 45 minutes of that video is me going through this whole book and talking about my thoughts while I'm reading it, because I had a lot of thoughts while reading that book, and it was a very complicated reading experience. Next up, we are moving into 3 stars, which is like the majority of the books in this list. So we have Across the Green Grass Fields. Kind of knew I wasn't going to enjoy this one. This is like a horse girl story, and this is part of the Wayward Children series, but this is like a jumping in point, but I honestly would not recommend jumping in this book. I would almost say you could skip this one, but I'm guessing this character is in a later book. But it was just very boring. It was very boring. It was very dull. There was no emotional impact from this one. So this is, I think, the 6th book. Did I say 6th? I think that if you read this one first, you may not want to continue in the series, because it is not as magical, it is not as emotional as the rest of the series is, and this is easily my least favorite one besides Beneath the Sugar Sky because of some other problems. Like, that story was at least good. Other things in that book were not good. It's following a girl who goes into like a centaur world, and it's just it's just a little weird. They're all a little weird, but this was like weird in not a fun way. So this one gets a 3-star. It was fine. Next up, we have Leather and Lark, which I'm really sad that this is rated this low. I was thinking I was really gonna like this one, but to be honest, this one's just boring. So this is the second book in the Butcher and Blackbird series. This is following Lark and Lachlan as our two main characters. And this one seemed like it was gonna be really fun because I liked Lark as a character in the first book. At least my remembrance of it, because I really don't remember her that well from the book. But this one was just, it was just fine. To be honest, they didn't really have that much chemistry. The characters also didn't have like, well, I guess they kind of had personalities. I just didn't buy into their relationship. I didn't buy into them as characters. And the plot line was just kind of boring, and it was like a weird mafia story almost. And yeah, there's nothing else to say. It was just really boring, so it gets a 3-star. I'm actually torn between what to put next, because I think I did give Holly a 3.5, but I think I enjoyed it less than I did the other book that I gave a 3. So I think I'm gonna downgrade this back down to a 3, and I'm gonna keep both at a 3, and I'm gonna talk about Holly first. So Holly is fine. The story Holly is fine. This is definitely not the final, but currently the final installment in the Belladonna series. This is just like a cutesy, Christmassy story that is following our main characters, Signa and Blythe, and their romances, and just a little Christmas story. The best part about this book, and the only thing that saved it from being like a 2 to 2.5, is that it was in the back half of the book more focused on Signa. You guys know I like Signa as a character significantly more than Blythe. I think Signa's story got thrown in the trash halfway through the series, and it's a travesty because her story and her romance is so good, and it did not get the ending that it deserved. And so this book does hint at another book in the series that will be following Signa and Death, hopefully, fingers crossed, because there's so many unanswered questions. Next up, we have Brimstone. This is on my most disappointings list for a reason. This is a 3-star. It's just boring. Second book in the Quicksilver series. You guys know how much I loved Quicksilver. This was just boring. And I think my biggest sin for this book is that Kingfisher and Ceres, the only scenes they really had together throughout most of the book were just sex scenes. Like when they were in a scene together, they were gonna have sex. That's what it was. There was not a lot of communication relationship wise. It was a lot of like love bombing, like obsessed with each other and sex, and that's it. There's no real communication until the end of the book, finally. Kind of. I did like the ending. This was actually a 2-star for most of the book, and then I did like the last 150 pages. It finally felt like Quicksilver again. It felt like the dynamics were back. It's just threw a lot of characters to the wayside. The story wasn't very interesting, and I knew I wasn't gonna like it. I will say that. Based on how Quicksilver ended, I had a feeling I was not gonna like where the story was going because of the thing that happened at the end of the book. I can't talk about it because it is kind of a spoiler. So unfortunately, most of this book was about those things and that situation that was going on. So once that finally was kind of like over with, then I was like, oh, I'm back into the story. And the ending was absurd. I will say the ending was absolutely ridiculous. However, I'm at least back in. I'm interested again. I will take stupid and interesting over boring any day, and so at least it got interesting at the end. Next up, we have Some Shall Break. I think I gave this a 4, but I'm gonna downgrade it to a 3.75. I might have been a 3.75. I already remember nothing that happened in this book. This is just one of those series. The same thing happened with the very first book, is I just didn't remember that much stuff. I had to read a synopsis. I'm sure I'll have to go back and read a synopsis of this one before I read the third book, which I do have on Kindle. But this is following our main character who has been dragged into a situation like with the FBI. She's been working to help solve murders with the FBI, which is why I said it was very similar to All in the Natural series, because it's very similar. And so in this one, it's just another case. That's really what it is. It's another case and dealing with what's going on there, and I assume the third book is going to be the same, so 3.75. It's fun. I would recommend this series. I do think it's really good. I just wouldn't wait like I did to read them. Yeah, I read them too far apart. Next up, we have Forget Me Not. This is actually a really funny story of why I read this book. So I actually bought this on Kindle like forever ago when it was on sale. Forgot that I had it. This is by Julie Soto, and this is like a second chance romance, which I don't generally enjoy. But then I was watching Lexi's channel, and Lexi loved it, and I was like, I forgot that I owned that, and it was Christmas, and I was bored of what I was reading. I was trying to get through Brimstone, and I didn't want to read Brimstone anymore, so I was like, I think we should read Forget-Me-Not. So I sat and read Forget-Me-Not in a day. I read the whole thing front to back cover in a day. It was crazy. And you know what? I really liked it. It's following our main character who is a wedding planner, and she has a relationship, a very contentious relationship with a flower dealer who is in the business that she worked with a lot and even dated. And so it's taking place in the current day, which is her perspective, and she's planning this massive wedding and she has to work with him. And then it's also taking place in the past, which is following his perspective, where they were dating and getting to know each other and also working together as well. So I like how it was done. I think my biggest problem is that I loved the current day. The current day was fantastic. The pining, the yearning, the tension, loved it. My issue was with the past, and this is why it's only getting, I think I'm gonna get a 4-star. My memory of it is better than I feel like how I felt after it, but I really liked a lot what I liked in this book. I think my issue and why it doesn't get a 5-star is she was, the main character was highly unlikable in the past. So through his eyes, I don't understand why he liked her. Like, she was a nightmare to deal with, and it was a pain in the butt, very flighty, very obnoxious, everything convenient for her, very selfish person. And to be honest, he wasn't the best either. He was kind of an asshole too. So I didn't love the past because I don't think it was done very well. I do think she could have made the characters more likable, more into each other romantically and not just sexually, because it was very sex heavy in the past once they were finally together. And I do like a more romantic story, not a more sex heavy story. And that's what we got the current day. The current day was much more romance heavy and yearning heavy than it was in the past. I think this could have been a 5-star easily, if not for that past tense. And then we are on to our 2 4-stars. That's so sad. It's so sad. So first up, we have Throne of Secrets, which I'm so happy this was. I think it's like a 3.7 4-star. We're gonna round it up for a 4-star to make me happy. This, honestly, way better than I thought it was gonna be. I'm actually very surprised how much I ended up liking this. I feel like I loved the first book, Throne of the Fallen. It's up here somewhere. But I was like, I liked it and I read it a while ago, and then this came out and nobody liked it, and I was like, oh no. And then I just kept putting it off. And then in my head, I did not think I was going to like it at all. And then I ended up loving it. This was it was just fun. And I think I actually kind of liked it better than Throne of the Fallen. I liked the main character. I do, again, think the sex was a little bit a lot, but that's just my personal preference. It wasn't that bad. I liked our main male character. He is not distinguishable from any other male character in her books, though. Like, they are the same person. Every single prince is the same person once they are the main character. Separate, like the other princes in here, they are distinct characters, but when it becomes their person, like their point of view, they become the same person. So the guy in here could have been the same guy in Throne of the Fallen. Easily. And the same guy in the original Kingdom of the Wicked series. They are the same person. She writes the same male character. But I really like that male main character, so she's really lucky about that, because if I didn't, would hate these books. But I really liked the female character in this book. That's what makes me like her books in general, is I love the main female characters of her stories, and that was no different for this one. So this is basically just a Bridgerton retelling. Yeah. Like, we have Lady Whistledown and everything. Like, this is a Bridgerton retelling. So if you want a Bridgerton high, you really can go ahead and read this. Then the final book, my husband and I finally finished, The Butcher's Masquerade. I was like, wait, is that the one that we're on? So we are reading, what are we on? We're on The Bedlam Bride now. We're already like 20% into that or something like that. This is my favorite one so far in the series. Dungeon Crawler Carl series is a 5-star series. Each book is 4 stars though. Like, it's a 5-star experience, 5-star books, but each individual book is a 4-star, if that makes any sense. I think upon a reread, they could almost all be 5 stars, but I'm probably gonna wait till I'm finished the series and then go back, because there's a couple of the books that I had a hard time with, like the train book. Still don't really know what happened in the train book. That was really high concept that I struggled with immensely, but this is my favorite one so far. I loved this. I love the storylines. Again, they're just getting chunkier and chunkier. I love the characters in this. This was just such a fantastic time, and I'm so happy that the books seem to be getting better and better as they go on, instead of becoming boring, and I don't know how he's doing it, because these books are massive and somehow they are so entertaining. I really can't talk about this one though, because I think it's it's book 5. I can't tell you what this is about, but it's following our main characters, Carl and Princess Donut, who is a cat, and they have been basically, along with the rest of the human population, have been kidnapped into this giant dungeon where each floor is a different like concept, and they have to make their way through the dungeon if they want to save themselves and potentially humanity. I don't know exactly where this is going. Like, I don't know how this is going to end and what like the goal is, which is really exciting because I'm like, where is this going? So this is the 5th book. Fantastic. I would highly recommend this series, especially on audio. If you're going to read this series, you need to do it on audio, or at least tandem with the audio, because the audio, amazing. So anyway, that is everything that I read in December of 2025. Like I said, unfortunately, it wasn't the best reading month. I did have 2 really exciting books that I read, this and the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. I am happy that I got through Brimstone, because Brimstone is one of those books that I could put off for like months, and I'm really glad that that's not what ended up happening. I'm also glad we got through some series. Same with Holly and Leather and Lark. Those are books that I could have put off for forever because I'm really bad at continuing series, but we got through them, so I will at least take that. I was productive in December. Might not have had the best reading time, but I was productive. Unfortunately, that has landed me in a little bit of a book slump for January. I am DNFing stuff left and right. Like, I am being brutal. Like, it's bad. It's real bad. So we're trying to chill out a little bit. I have found a 5-star already though, which is really exciting, but I'm still a little slumpy. So hopefully that will end soon. Anyway, that is everything that I have for you today. Let's see, if you made it this far into the video, leave a this is probably my favorite book. What do we leave? Leave a skull emoji. We finally filled up all 6 skulls. They start adding more after this, but we finally filled up all the skulls. So leave a skull emoji in the comment section down below if you made it this far. Let me know in the comments down below what you read in December, what your favorite books were, your least favorite books are, what you want to get to in January. And yeah, make sure you like the video if you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe so you miss any future content, and I'll see you guys in the next one.